from plot holes and half-baked theories that made it to the final cut, to being an infuriating letdown of broken promises. This is the manifest, wasted subplot that made fans mad. Netflix has quite the rep for pulling the plug on shows before they can reach their happy endings. Fan favorites like Iron Fist, Altered Carbon, and Daredevil were all canceled without even so much as a second thought. No closure, just heartache. So when NBC canceled Manifest in 2021, fans were shocked that the streaming giant threw the series a lifeline for one final season. The suspense thriller has racked up quite the cult following in recent years, and fans were super excited to watch the mystery of Flight 828 finally unfold. But as credits rolled for the last time, viewers couldn't help but wonder if the show was worth saving at all. So, why did the show leave us with more questions than answers? In the face of many crushing disappointments, one subplot that left fans scratching their heads was the reveal of the divine. Right off the bat, the show sets up to deal with the age-old debate between science and faith. Our dynamic duo, Ben and Michaela, stick to the cold, hard facts. After all, one's a math whiz and the other's a cop. On the flip side, though, you've got a bunch of 828ers who believe the callings are messages from God. At a quick glance, this tug-of-war is cool and kinda deep. Fans thought so too. When you're caught up in something that doesn't have answers, maybe science can lend a helping hand. Plus, showrunners kept dropping hints about DNA anomalies and blood markers, casually throwing around tech jargon that sometimes did not even make sense. Across the globe, fans put on their big boy hats and began to put two and two together. Theories about electromagnetic fields, parallel universes, and quantum physics began to swarm the internet in a race to the answer. That excitement soon took a nosedive. The show revealed that it was, in fact, divine intervention that caused the flight's disappearance. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that this was completely out of the blue. The show has hinted at this in previous seasons, and there've been a couple of breadcrumbs. Back in Season 2, when part of the plane's tail fin was found at the bottom of the ocean. Despite crashing on land in Season 1, fans began to think there was more to Ben's theory about a higher power being involved. Season 4 confirms just that. In Part 1, it's revealed that the plane's disappearance and the callings the characters frequently get are all connected to the divine. But if this was the case all along, why invest so much time on a subplot that didn't even matter? There was no backing down. The show continued to push the whole science part of it right into the final season, and it ended up hogging up much of the screen time that could have been used to explore other stuff. Take a minute to think this through. There was nothing scientific about the situation to begin with. What we thought were scientific markers, those were acts of God, including the death date that was destined to cause the end of the world. The callings could have been used to explore everything the flight's passengers needed to learn about their disappearance. Remember the fragment of Noah's Ark? Or the Omega Sapphire? The callings are what led the characters to those answers in the first place. They even led us to the discovery of the divine. So why spend so many episodes investigating a scientific explanation when there was none? When you realize that it's going to take a miracle to stop the death date, you end up not even caring about the science behind it. Sadly, with so much time wasted on theories that contributed nothing to the show, Manifest paid a heavy price. Character development. If the series had dialed back on the electromagnetic quantum mechanics gibberish, it would have developed more meaningful character relationships and emotional connections. Because let's be real, how do you invest in characters you know nothing about? It's impossible to not mention how badly the show treated fan favorite Dr. Sanvi Ball. Throughout the 4 seasons, Sanvi has been our go-to scientist and sort of a comfort character. But if saving Cal from his cancer wasn't enough, she's also helping Ben run the lab tests and experiments that get them inches closer to solving the mystery that is Flight 828. And that's pretty much it. Actress Parveen Kaur and her talent is wasted being locked in a lab for most of the show's 4-season run, so she rarely gets any stake in the action with the other characters. But it gets crazier. The writers also strip away her callings, which is more confusing than her being stuck in a lab. If the callings are the answer to why the passengers disappeared for 5 years, why take them away for more than half the series? If that wasn't enough, the government also kidnaps the scientist and forces her to work on the super-secret project, Eureka. Unlike what we see with characters like Jared and Zeke, Sanvi doesn't really grow. Just when she starts seeing Alex and there seems to be a glimmer of hope, the show snuffs out the old flame. Why? So they could push Sanvi's feelings for Ben towards a one-night stand. Both characters would later regret, and then Ben's back with Grace, so they decide to bring back Alex, which left fans even more confused about why writers would pair the two up anyways. Bottom line, you could only justify sacrificing Sanvi's personal life and her relationship with Ben if a scientific explanation was going to be worthwhile in the long run. In the face of such gaping plot holes, the looming threat of the death date approaching with each day passing just doesn't feel real. This is a real letdown for fans of the franchise. Since the launch of Manifests back in 2018, viewers have tuned in to each new episode to get closer to the truth behind the spine-chilling mystery. So of course, fans feel robbed. Many took to social media platforms like Twitter and Reddit to rant about the show misleading them for 4 seasons. No amount of disappearing could help showrunners dodge the storm of flying tomatoes hurled their way, with fans saying that the show spends so much time building a sci-fi premise, only to later shrink it. Science and faith have been rivals for eternity, and the series had a golden opportunity to make them lock horns and set people's screens on fire. Creator Jeff Rake says he didn't get enough time. The producer of Boston Legal originally planned for Manifest to run for 6 seasons, but with interest in the show running low and NBC canceling the series halfway through, he only had 20 episodes to make it work. Watching season 4, it's crystal clear that the show's space warps the speed. Major plot points are revealed in the blink of an eye, and many are not even explored in favor of wrapping it up. For example, 3 of the 10 plagues of Egypt just casually decide to pop in and just as quickly fade away with 0 casualties to any of the characters. Some that are impacted aren't important to the storyline anyway, so what was the point of them happening at all? Fans feel that references to the Bible were just a way to make the divine subplot feel more natural, though if it was introduced right at the start, it would be a more worthwhile trade. Another thing the show doesn't bother explaining is the tail fin that Ben and Robert found in season 2. Viewers initially thought that the tail fin was from a different universe where the flight also went missing. The more you think about it, the show starts making more sense. The tail fin that Ben finds is proof that the passengers from this universe really did die, and that the survivors crossed over from a different dimension. It's interesting that a multiverse theory could also explain what the callings are, memories from the characters' other lives that appear in this reality to protect them. But the reveal of the divine consciousness makes the theory impossible. So the tail fin shall remain an unexplained mystery. Ever heard of the suspension of disbelief? Well, there's a limit to how much people can push it. You'd think 4 seasons in, the show would have a good grasp on where to draw the line. Even Riverdale couldn't get fans to stick around for the ride after season 3. Still, the show does have its moments. While fans admit that the final season killed the suspense and thrill, they can't deny that there's something oddly addictive about hate watching it. Ben's involvement with every case his sister just happens to be working is a major red flag. Any real detective would think Mick was a police mole backing him up. But in the crazy world of Manifest, everything normal takes a backseat to the mysterious. So, from being an infuriating letdown of broken promises, to plot holes and half-baked theories that made it to the final cut, this was the Manifest subplot that fans felt wasted everyone's time.